All right, we're recording.
Okay, we're recording. Let's go.
I don't know how much of that picked up.
We'll see in post.
Yeah, no matter what, people can deal with the fact that it'll be bad.
Alright, so first things first, major spoilers for How I Met Your Mother, just the entire show.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Well, not like major, just like, we're gonna talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
And if you care deeply about not knowing the results of
especially the end,
show.
We're gonna talk about the end.
Okay.
Well, are we gonna talk about the end?
We can.
I feel like you can't talk about How I Met Your Mother without talking about the end.
We don't need to talk about the end, but like not the end, but we can talk about the last season.
Okay,
because that was a interesting season.
Well, there were choices made.
There were quite a few choices made.
All right, should we just kick this right off?
Yes. So this is the How I Met Your Mother episode. After weeks and weeks of Edward begging me to do this episode,
I just thought it would be really good, and I'm rewatching the show.
I'm also rewatching the show specifically because you wanted to do this episode.
Yeah.
I'm only like halfway through season 2 again.
I'm almost done season 8.
So see, I've watched this show maybe like...
You've probably watched the show more than me, though.
7 times through at least.
Yeah, so if we do a community episode, then I'll be chilling.
Yeah, then I'll have to fully lock in and
watch Community?
Yeah. I've watched a couple of the episodes like 5 times, and some of them once.
That's fair.
So...
There was like 1 or 2 episodes that before I really got into the show and like rewatched it my 4th or 5th time, I would definitely skip every watch through.
That's fair. I feel like there are some downers in there.
In Community, absolutely.
There's some downers in every show, though.
Yeah.
Ain't that just the way?
Like the last season of How I Met Your Mother.
Exactly, because it all takes like...
3 days or something?
Yeah, it's over the span of like 3-ish days.
They do like roughly 8 episodes to a day.
It hurts me, but also it's just... Yeah, it's a lot of detail that sometimes was unneeded.
Alright, so without further ado, what is How I Met Your Mother?
What is How I Met Your Mother? Edward, have I ever told you about How I Met Your Mother?
How did you meet my mother, Claire?
I don't think I ever have met your mother.
It was probably, if you did, it was probably at an improv show.
Yeah, I don't even think I have.
Okay.
No.
Claire, have I told you how I met your mother? So it was when we were doing our first recording session for this podcast. Mm-hmm. We went upstairs after we were done recording the first 3 episodes, and you were like talking to your mom, and I was like, hi.
Okay.
And we're gonna make that story take 9 seasons.
Okay. How I Met Your Mother is about a father explaining how he met his children's mother.
To the children.
Just using so much detail.
So to go a step further, it is a sitcom that aired from 2004 to 2013.
Yeah.
And it's about 5 friends who live in New York, and they have wacky hijinks. And the thing that makes it different from the other sitcoms is that there's a narrator, and that's the story of How I Met Your Mother.
Yep, that's about right.
I think that's about as far as I could go in before we go into more depth later.
But yeah, it's a very fun show.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character?
My favorite character, honestly, is Barney Stinson.
I love Barney.
I think he's the only reason to watch the later seasons of the show.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad we're on the same page.
He has such an actually fantastic character.
They all just kind of stay the same.
Yeah, and you would never expect Barney to have such an arc from how he starts the show.
Yeah, because Robin's still like, I'm still a woman. I don't...
And Ted's still like, And Marshall's still like... Actually, Marshall changes.
Marshall just becomes more like Lily.
And Lily always sucks.
Lily just is... Okay, before we started recording this, you said I would probably get Lily on the How I Met Your Mother quiz.
Well, okay, I don't think you suck in the same way Lily does.
Okay, but thanks, Edward.
Lily is just kind of... Like, okay, is Lily not the worst for most of the show?
That's true.
And, like, she's the cause of 90% of the problems in Marshall and Lily's relationship.
Yeah, and she meddles a lot, doesn't she?
Yeah, and then Marshall's just, like, a sweet little bean.
Yeah, that's so true.
Maybe you'll get Marshall.
Oh, that would be great. I would love to get Marshall. Yeah, for those of you confused, which is all of you because we haven't talked about this yet, at the end of this episode, we will be doing a How I Met Your Mother, What Character Are You quiz on BuzzFeed. For the fans who really want to know.
Yeah. Alright, should we explain each of the characters and How I Met Your Mother then?
Sure. Who do you want to take?
I'll start with Ted Mosby.
That seems like a good place to start.
Theodore Evelyn Mosby. is the titular mother meter. He's the show's narrator. He functions as its quote unquote main character. His whole thing is he's like a big hopeless romantic, and like that's his big character. He spends the entire show quote unquote like wanting to settle down, even though he doesn't actually want to settle down until like season 8. And yeah, he's really dumb and kind of the worst a lot of the time, but kind of funny sometimes, and has some really poignant quotes.
Yep.
Is there anything I missed on Ted Mosby?
Not really. I think that pretty much sums him up. He's an architect.
He's an architect. He's a nerd and a bit of a hipster.
Yeah. Loves Star Wars.
Yeah. Really likes Pablo Neruda.
Yep.
And terrible taste in women, honestly.
Yeah, some of the girls he dates are...
Like, literally, he finds 2 good romantic partners in the entire series of the show.
I'll explain Robin.
Okay.
So Robin is Canadian, just like most of our lovely listeners, if not all of our lovely listeners.
I hope all of our lovely listeners.
If you're not, drop a comment. Anyway, Robin Scherbatsky is a TV reporter and journalist, and she is Canadian.
And do you want me to pick up more?
What else do you have to say? I actually don't know how to
she's
explain
a super huge commitment phobe.
Right, yeah.
She part of her joke is she sort of plays as an anti-Canadian, because she's like super pro-gun. She's super aggressive, and then she's Canadian. Haha, hey there, bud. Sorry.
They point out the fact that she's Canadian quite a bit, though.
Also, my favorite thing from the show that is only funny if you're Canadian is that Robin's very much played as like a whole like, oh, Great White North kind of person. Like, oh yeah, I hunt moose and eat snow for dinner. And
yeah, because that's how she was raised.
Yeah, but
by
she's
her
from
father.
Vancouver.
Oh. Yep.
Oh yeah, Robin also has a very problematic relationship with her father, who wanted her to be a boy.
Yep.
Yep. And that affects a lot more in the show than it should.
That's so true. They don't like dive. They could.
They don't dive into her
so much deeper into her character, but they just didn't, which is kind of upsetting.
Yeah.
I feel like she could have had a better character.
Well, she was such a miswritten character towards the end.
Yeah.
Like, she was sort of just written as like a de facto love interest towards the end of the show.
Which is not really what she
deserved
or
needed.
Yeah.
Or would make good writing.
Anyway.
Alright, so next up, Marshall Erickson.
Ted's best friend.
Unless you're Barney. Marshall is played by the ever genius Jason Segel. He is a lovable goofball from St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Oh, St. Cloud.
He's a lawyer who wants to save the environment.
But that doesn't make enough money.
Yeah, so he spends like a good chunk of the show working at an evil bank.
With Barney.
Yeah. He is... How else would you describe him? He's very goofy, he's very lovable, he's very kind. He's a little bit of a traditionalist in a lot of his like moral sensibilities.
Oh my god, my favorite thing that I think of whenever I think of Marshall is the one episode where it's Marshall versus the machines.
Oh, Marshall versus... Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just running.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he thinks he's cool.
He thinks he's way cooler than he is.
Yeah.
And he very much wants to be cool and single, even though he spends the entire show, most of the show, in a committed relationship.
Yeah. With
Lily
Aldrin. An elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
For most of the time. She's also an artist, and she is a bit manipulative.
Yeah, she's a bit of a puppet master.
Because she likes to poke her nose into everyone else's business. I think she just doesn't have enough going on in her life.
Yeah.
I think it's the fact that her and Marshall are so happy together.
Yeah.
That it makes her want to kind of stir everyone else's...
Yeah, she's also a little bit of like a situational perfectionist, where she wants her life to put... Like, it's revealed later, like in season 5 or something, that if Ted's ever dating somebody who... Because Lily, Ted, and Marshall are super close, who Lily thinks like, oh, when we grow old, Ted won't be happy with this person, and we won't be happy with this person.
Won't pass
the front porch test. Lily breaks them up.
Yes. She's a good person.
For the most part.
Oh.
The other important note about Lily is she often feels extremely unfulfilled in her life.
Which is why she...
does a lot of stuff.
Does a lot of the things that she does.
And then last down the line is...
Barney Stinson.
Who is... Oh, he's got so much to unpack.
Our favorite character, Barney Stinson. Oh my god. I don't even know why, because he's such a... Like, fundamentally, he's not a...
He's an irredeemable asshole.
Yes, because he just sleeps with so many women.
But he's a lovable, irredeemable asshole.
Because he's so silly goofy.
Yeah, and he's like, so he's like the playboy character of the show. Mm-hmm. He always wears a suit. He says a lot of stupid phrases, and he loves using like really weird ways to pick up women. The playbook.
Which is full of many, many plays that he pulls.
He also has a very troubled backstory.
Yeah, he doesn't know who his father is until later.
Yeah, and his first girlfriend left him and then lied about it.
Yeah.
Just because a guy had more money than him.
And that's why he became a suit.
Yeah. And then he also says, legend, wait for it.
Dairy.
Yeah.
Legendary.
All right, so that's our main cast out of the way. There's a lot of other characters that exist for like one season that we'll get to.
I also want to point out that Barney is played by Neil Patrick Harris,
which is really funny.
Who is famously a gay man.
Yeah.
Playing the straight man.
And even more fantastically, Neil Patrick Harris is married to the actor who plays Lily's only other boyfriend besides Marshall in the entire ever of existence.
I know, that's my favorite thing actually. But yeah, what would you say is your favorite episode of the show, Edward?
My favorite episode, I said before that it was season 2 episode 9, Slap Bet, and I think I lied because I think it's season 2 episode 8, which is called Atlantic City, and it's a lot. So basically, that episode is I watched this episode like a month ago, and I've put so much How I Met Your Mother into my brain since then. So I'm gonna go quickly find a better summary of the episode online.
Okay.
But basically,
I'll talk about my favorite episode, which is Slapsgiving, which is season 3, episode 9. And I just love it because of like how all of the dynamics between the characters, and the fact that Marshall is making such a big thing about slapping Barney, and then he like doesn't get to, and then he does, and then he doesn't get to, and then he does, and ultimately he does. But it's this big build up, and I love it, and it's so fun. And at that point, Ted and Robin are broken up, and they have like their weird tension going on. And my favorite bit that they talk about in that, which is one of my favorite bits, which we'll talk about later, I have 2, so, is, you know the thing how they salute whenever someone accidentally does like the thing with the honor,
like general knowledge?
General knowledge. Yeah, that's my favorite thing, and I love, and it's introduced, and I love that they get that back at the end of the episode. It's so fun. Also, I just love Thanksgiving. Okay. So it's a good thing that it's almost Thanksgiving.
So Atlantic City, there's actually really no B-plot for this episode. Mm-hmm. Basically, what it is one day, Lily and Marshall decide that like they want to just like forego all the crazy wedding plans, forego everything, and just go down to Atlantic City to get like a Vegas-style wedding. Mm-hmm. And the entire episode is basically just them just like struggling and trying, and like everything gets in the way of them getting their marriage license. And plot wise, it's not great, but it's got some really funny jokes.
And Barney's
Barney has a gambling addiction, and he plays this one Chinese gambling game that just
it makes no
sense, but Marshall figures out the rules. Yeah. And there's this really funny joke where Barney's like struggling and he's sitting and they're switching chairs, and then Marshall's one is like, Ted, I think I get it. Ted's like, I'm sure you don't get the rules. And then Marshall's just like, Barney, go all in. If you find the jelly bean, you can double your money.
And then he finds
the jelly bean.
And then they pay a guy to bring them out to the water to marry them.
And then there's also this joke of like, because before they went down to Atlantic City, everybody was just like living their lives. So what is it? Robin left in the middle of a newscast, and she shows up looking fantastic, and Lily's like, Robin, you can't look better than me on my wedding day. So Robin gets like a bikini t-shirt.
One of those cheap novelty.
Yeah, and so Ted and Robin are dating at this point.
No, yeah, he's
into that t-shirt.
He's into that t-shirt. which is another half the joke. Actually, my favorite joke in that episode is when they try and show time passing. But it's like, there's like them on the bench, and then they do like a little wipe, and then it's old people, but it was just they got up to go to the vending machine, really funny. And old people stole their spots. No, that was my favorite joke of that episode. My favorite season, though, I would have to say is season 3. Just because Robin and Ted aren't dating anymore.
I agree, honestly. Who's Ted with that season? Who's right after Robin?
I think he started dating Stella, kind of.
Is Stella? I thought Stella was season 4 and 5.
Well, he meets Stella because he gets the tramp stamp. Oh yeah, because he gets
the tramp stamp.
So he meets Stella and then kind of does the little...
Yeah, no, he starts dating Stella that season.
Yeah.
Who I hate Stella.
That's fair.
Should we start going through the show season by season now?
Sure.
Alright, so season 1. We should explain season 1, episode 1, because I think that's actually really important.
Okay.
So season 1, episode 1, it introduces the whole cast. Ted's like, "Aw, man, I gotta find the one." So he sees Robin across a crowded room, and it's like this magical moment. And then they go on a date.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Steals a blue French horn.
Yeah, he steals a blue French horn for her. Gets referenced so much.
So much.
Oh, man, we should... Oh, do you know what we should actually intro this episode with? It's in, season 7, when Barney recaps the entire show in 2 minutes.
I'll pull it up. You...
maybe even, insert that in at the start of the episode. Anyway.
It's so much work for me, Edward.
Then we can just play it into a mic, I guess. Anyway, so, yeah, so they go on Ted steals a blue French horn. He should have kissed her. He didn't. He says, "I love you" on the first date, which, big no-no. So then Robin says, "No, get out of here." Then Ted goes back to the bar. Then they're like, "Oh man, you should have kissed Robin." And then Ted's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna." And then they all get in a cab. They meet Ranjit. Ranjit's another recurring character in the show. He says hello in a really funny way. And then they go back there. Ted doesn't kiss Robin again, and then the episode ends.
Okay, I have this.
Okay.
So I pulled it up. So 7 years ago, not actually 7 years ago, but when Marshall and Lily got engaged, Ted saw Robin across a crowded room and said, "Oh yeah, you know she likes it dirty." But Ted really, really liked her, so he played Have You Met Ted? But they went to dinner, he walked her home, should have kissed her, didn't, lame, so he stole a Smurf's penis. Went back to her place, should have kissed her, didn't, lame. He threw 3 parties, they kissed on the roof, but decided to be friends, lame. Then Ted wanted to take Robin to a wedding. She couldn't go, so he went alone. He met Victoria, didn't kiss her either, lame. Not a great closer, Ted. But he finally kissed her, they started dating, she went to Germany, Ted kissed Robin, Robin was on the phone with Victoria. Oh, I just remembered that whole exchange. Yeah. Oh,
so for context, this is a monologue that Barney gives in season 7 that basically recaps the whole first 7 seasons of the show.
He kissed Robin, lost Victoria, did a rain dance, got Robin. Ted and Robin broke up. Robin went to Argentina, came back with a Latin guy. Ted got jealous, got a tramp stamp. Not really relevant to the story. He just likes mentioning that as much as possible. I didn't hook up with Robin.
You wish, Claire.
Barney hooks up with Robin. Ted and Barney stop being friends. Ted got hit by a bus. They made up. And then Robin and Barney start dating. But stuff happened and they just couldn't date anymore. Then they broke up. Robin dated Dawn. Who's Dawn?
Do you remember her co-host?
Oh, right.
And the rabbit duck guy.
Oh, and then he went and took a job that she didn't take. Yeah. Oh, right. Barney dated Nora, cheated on her with Robin, dumped Nora. Robin dated Kevin.
I love Kevin.
Weird for that. But not for long. Then, and then he met Quinn, blah, 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 blah. But yeah.
So that's, first episode of the show.
He also went on The Price is Right.
Yeah, so
and won a dune buggy.
The first season of the show is, it's all about basically Ted trying to get together with Robin. Robin integrating with the group. And then there's actually a lot of stuff from Marshall and Lily in that first season.
Yeah, it's a lot of build up because at the end they split. They split
for a little bit because so in the first episode the other thing is Marshall and Lily get engaged. Mm-hmm. And the first season is them planning their wedding and dealing with all that stress. Mm-hmm. And somewhere towards the end of that season, I think even the last episode, Lily realizes that she's unhappy with what she's done in her life before getting married. So she decides to take an art fellowship in San Francisco, which would require her leaving for a month and missing their wedding. Or a summer and missing their wedding. And that causes enough tension that for the start of season 2, actually, for most of the start of season 2, about half of season 2.
Lily is not there.
And yet Lily and Marshall aren't together. Actually, there's a couple points where, like, Hannigan, just isn't in the show. Like, remember there's that one...
she's pregnant.
Well, but there's like that one point also in, like, the middle of one season where it's just like, and we didn't see Lily for 3 weeks.
Yeah, because Barney made that joke.
Yeah, but there must have been a reason why she wasn't in, like, why her actor had to take break. Okay, I didn't know that.
She was pregnant.
She was for real pregnant?
Yeah, she was for real pregnant. There were so many times I can pinpoint when the 2 women were pregnant in that show because the way that they hide them with the bags, or when they're sitting at the booth and you can just, they're wearing very flowy tops and you're like, oh, you're pregnant right now. Yeah, and then I look up and I'm like, when was Colby Smulders pregnant? And it's like, oh, that matches up.
So yeah, basically the biggest event in season 2 or 1 is the last episode, where there's Victoria before that.
Well, yeah.
So Victoria is met in the middle of season 1 by Ted at a wedding, and it's like she's the perfect girl for him.
Then she moves to Germany. To do baking.
And they try to make long distance work. It doesn't. And there's this one episode where Ted's like, "Oh man, Victoria's said we need to talk, and she's gonna break up with me." But the call never comes. And Ted basically assumes their relationship's over. So he goes over to a very sad, very drunk Robin.
Nothing good happens after 2 a.m.
Yep. And then they smooch, but Ted and Victoria aren't officially broken up yet.
So then he goes to the bathroom to try and call Victoria, but he doesn't have his phone. He has Robin's phone.
And then the call from Victoria comes.
And Robin has his phone. So Robin picks up and obviously finds out that they are not broken up. And then she decides not to
date Ted
until he does a rain dance.
Yeah.
And then she can't go camping. And then she's like, okay, I'll date you. That's as much context as I'm going to give.
And then on that same day, Marshall and Lily split up.
Yeah. So
season 2 now. For almost the entirety of season 2, Ted and Robin are dating.
Yeah.
So there's no important notes there.
Lame.
Is there any important Barney stuff in that season?
Not really, no.
Important Barney stuff kind of starts in season 4.
Yeah, they didn't realize how much of a goldmine Barney was.
Barney just kind of is a bit character. Like the biggest bit character ever for the first 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, he just kind of, he becomes very just...
Well, because he and Robin date in season 3.
Yeah.
But he's sort of immobile till then.
Yeah, he's just kind of there. He's still the playbook guy. He's still just...
Actually, no, they don't even date in season 3. They start dating in season 5. They hook up in season 4.
Yeah. So Barney's basically just... I think he's mostly used just to be the single guy in the group, and he's kind of sad about it. That's his whole character in season 2, is he's like, you all are dating and I'm single.
Yep.
Season 3, the whole thing is that Robin and Ted have just broken up.
Yeah, and all the stuff coming out of that. So Ted gets really sad. He gets a tramp stamp, which is important, despite what Barney says.
Yeah.
Robin dates Gael for 4 episodes.
And then realizes that he's not great. Britney Spears is in this season.
Yeah, because when Robin and Ted broke up, Robin took a spontaneous trip to Argentina.
And then Ted goes to get his tramp stamp removed.
And he meets Stella Zinman.
Yes. And her receptionist, Britney Spears.
Who is in love with Ted, and Ted doesn't know she exists.
Yeah, but that basically introduces Stella.
Speaking of which, we should also quickly talk about the fact that, just because it does become mildly important, Barney hooks up with Stella's receptionist, Britney Spears.
Right, yeah. So Barney also hooks up with Britney Spears.
Yeah.
And then she basically tries to track every girl down that he approaches from that moment on, and tries to be like, this man is evil, don't date him, don't sleep with him. And then they don't, and then he basically is on a dry spell for a while.
So, and then season 4, Ted is dating Stella for how much of season 4? Not that much.
No, it's because in season 3 he proposes to her.
Oh yeah.
But they've only been dating.
I forget how short their relationship is, because so I'm going to go on a rant about Stella Zinman.
Okay, go.
So Stella's story is in a lot of ways technically really sweet, Because basically what it is, she was dating Tony Garfanello, I think his name is, Graffanello,
Right.
and they had a kid together. But Tony wasn't ready to get married, so they broke up, and Stella was raising the kid in like a split custody situation. Then she met Ted, who basically she thought after Tony she would never love again. And there's this heartbreaking quote from Stella, which is, yeah, after Tony I never thought I'd love again, and then you came into my life, and you were almost enough. Because
that is really sad.
During Ted and Stella's wedding, basically Tony says, I'm not going to let... What was Stella's kid's name again?
I have no clue.
That kid, Ted's future stepdaughter, come to the wedding. And so Ted's like, okay, I'm going to drive down and get her. And he goes and gets the kid, but he also feels so bad for Tony that he invites him up to the wedding. And Stella sees Tony and falls back in love with him and leaves Ted at the altar. And this is why I am pissed off at Stella.
Okay.
Is because I think she handled their entire relationship so immaturely.
Because she was just using it because she was like, it's so close to what I used to have.
Like, I don't think you should ever leave someone at the altar.
No.
I think there are so many better ways to handle that.
If you do, many times that almost happens.
There's like a joke in the show where it's like, oh, you should always leave a note. No, actually, you're better off going to talk to the person and be like, hey, this ceremony's not going to work. Here's why I'm leaving. Yeah. Instead of just ditching. Yeah. It's, to me, I think she is such a coward. And I think she knew she was still in love with Tony and didn't tell Ted.
Well, it's the very fact that he broke up with her, not the other way around. So, like, in her mind, she lost something, and if he was coming back, of course, she would have taken it.
And, like, that she tells Ted that, I think, after the fact, after she and Ted split. But that quote is still one of the hardest for me to hear. Yeah. I'm going to see if I can find it while you start talking about the other half of season 4.
The other half of season 4 is basically Ted trying to get over the fact that he got left at the altar. So there's a lot of talk of like all the baggage that he has now. There's a lot of him trying to get close to people, but then he's like, but Stella, I was about to marry Stella. He takes everything a lot slower because he's now worried about getting too close too quickly. But that also helps him learn and realize that he can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, which is good for him to realize because he's realizing that every girl that wants to settle down might not be the best for him because they might have other stuff going on too, which is true in real life. Then season 5, Barney and Robin are dating, which kind of gets on Ted's nerves, but he doesn't really show it that much. He tries to help Barney be a good boyfriend, do all this stuff, but then those two basically are mutually destroying each other because neither of them are fit to be in a relationship. Obviously, their characters are built like that. About halfway through that season, by the end of their relationship, both of them are like, we can't do this anymore, and then they break up, and then they're back to normal, which is good, because they're back to having their usual dynamics, and everything's good again. Halfway through season 5, Barney starts realizing that maybe he does want to be in a committed relationship still, so that's something that he thinks about a lot. There's the robots versus wrestlers episode when Ted basically realizes that everything's kind of weird with their friend group. In season 6, Ted is still trying to find a girl to settle down, obviously, but can't. Oh, this is when Zoe comes in.
Oh, Zoe.
I love Zoe.
She's also kind of sucks, though. She does bring in the captain, who's one of my favorite characters in the show. She brings in the captain,
because she's married to the captain. Who's working for the captain? Is it Ted?
No one works for the captain until later when Lily becomes his art dealer.
Right, that's what it is. Lily starts working for the captain eventually. But so Zoe, oh my god, she's my favorite character just because she's fun. Well, she's not my favorite character. She's my favorite Ted girlfriend.
My favorite Ted girlfriend's honestly Victoria.
That's fair.
But also most Ted girlfriends kind of suck.
Yeah.
Ted chooses bad women, guys.
That's fair. Yeah. Anyway, no, I like Zoe just because she brings in I feel like she brings in the best dynamic with everyone.
She's
she's
just really toxic with Ted, though.
Yeah. But, like, everyone loves her, though. Kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh, because there's the one episode with the Blitz?
Yeah.
The Gentleman!
Blitzgiving.
Yeah.
That's also my second favorite episode.
You really like the Thanksgiving
I like
episodes.
the Thanksgiving episodes. I really like Thanksgiving. This isn't going out anywhere near Thanksgiving, but this weekend is Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for Thanksgiving. I'm making so many, like, I'm making apple crumble cake and pumpkin tiramisu.
That's awesome.
I'm cool. Anyway, no,
So
I really like
I'm
Thanksgiving.
really struggling to find this quote from Stella.
Okay,
Because it's so heartbreaking.
You explained the first half of this show, so I might as well do the rest. Ted builds a building.
He designs the headquarters for the company that Marshall and Barney work for.
GNB.
Yeah, Goliath National Bank.
Then season 7, Barney is preparing for his wedding. With who? We don't know. Ducky tie. Something, he loses a bet and he has to wear a ducky tie for a year. It's a tie with a bunch of ducks on it. So that's really funny. That's a big thing that stands out in this season, is that he has to wear this tie basically every single episode. But then the whole thing is he's getting married. He's meeting a girlfriend's parents and he's like, I don't want to wear the ducky tie, but he has to. Marshall and Lily move out of New York. They move into a house in the suburbs.
Oh yeah, they switch houses a lot,
Yeah.
Marshall and Lily. Because they also have their house in Dois Tripla.
Oh yeah, that was actually my favorite house of theirs.
It's a really nice apartment.
It really is.
So that joke is basically just they impulse bought an apartment in a neighborhood that was like a trendy neighborhood called Dois Tripla, which stands for downwind from the sewage treatment plant.
Yeah.
And it was like terrible in every way.
And then the 8th season basically opens with Robin getting married. But we're like, who's Robin getting married to? And then at the end, I think they show that it's Barney, which is, whoa, who expected that? When did they start dating? We don't know. Marshall and Lily go through, this is the whole season. I actually don't really like this season.
This is the one with Quinn and then Barney's proposal. And Kevin. Okay, I'm going to talk about Kevin quickly. Kevin is the only character on this show, besides Marshall and Lily, to have a healthy romantic relationship with another character on the show.
That's because he's a therapist.
Yeah, so Kevin is a therapist. He's played by, I forget the exact actor's name, but an actor who I also really love, who's also like a member of U.S. Congress for a bit.
Oh!
Yeah. Anyway, Kevin is super funny and sweet and mature and kind, and there's this one moment where Barney and, while they were dating other people, Nora and Kevin respectively, Barney and Robin sleep together. And they both plan to break up with their respective partners and go be together. Barney does it, and he breaks Nora's heart, and it's heartbreaking. And then there's this really nice moment where Robin's like, Kevin, I need to tell you something. And he's like, then don't. I don't care what bad things you've done. I love you, and I want to be with you.
As long as they don't lie to each other from that moment on, sort of thing.
It's like, it's such a beautiful moment, and Kevin's such a funny and positive character, and I think he integrates super well with the group. Mm-hmm. Just in the way of, like, it's, like, so seamless. Like, from that one episode where they have him paint the nursery, just onward, it's really good.
But then eventually they break up, and then...
Because Robin can't have kids and doesn't want kids. That's another important note in the show.
Yeah.
Robin doesn't want kids or to get married. It's why she and Ted break up.
And then the last season is just centered around Robin and Barney's wedding and all the shenanigans that happen there.
Like, the entire season is the week leading up to the wedding.
I think the thing that I didn't really like is that Marshall was isolated from the group.
Yeah.
Because it was just him and baby Marvin.
Yeah.
And then...
They're on a road trip.
Yeah. Which was fine.
But also he and Lily are fighting at the same time.
But yeah, that's basically the show.
Okay, I'm convinced that I'm not going to find this quote from Stella, but you know the one I'm talking about, right?
Sure.
Maybe I hallucinated it.
Maybe
I hallucinated a really impactful moment after I was sad.
That's okay. But that's basically the whole show, along with our little comments here and there. My favorite bits from the show that came out of the show were, of course, the joke with the honorifics.
Yeah.
And Swarley.
Swarley's so funny.
Swarley was so funny.
Swarley's
that
a
one's
sick
also
bit.
up there for my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Because it's so stupid because they all just call him Swarley and everyone gets so into it. And he tries to...
Like, get out of it?
Yeah, he tries to put it on Robin.
Yeah, or something.
Because she gets called something stupid, but no one goes for it.
And they go so big with that bit, like to the point where they have a radio host dedicate a song to Swarley.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I think the radio host also calls him a powerful woman, which is like really funny because Barney hates women to some extent.
No, yeah, but it's such a good joke. Do you have any favorite bits?
One of my favorite bits, and it's so simple, it's a recurring joke in the show, where whenever anybody asks Barney what he does, he just says, please. And right at the end of the show, like in season 9, the payoff to the bit is revealed that please is an acronym for provide legal expungibility, legal something, sign everything. And basically, Barney has been essentially taking all of the shady dealings from Goliath National Bank under his name, but he's been taking everything down, and in the last season he leads a CIA raid on Goliath National Bank and gets everyone arrested.
Yeah. That's honestly, like, that just shows how good his, like, character arc really is, because he does all this stuff and then uses it for something pretty good.
That I also love, because he's telling the story to his kids, Ted's telling the story to his kids. There's a bit where problematic words and terms will get censored in some way or other. So there's this one episode where it's like, oh yeah, Ted keeps hearing bagpipes from the apartment above him.
Oh yeah.
Or they eat a lot of sandwiches. When they like smoke joints.
Yeah.
Or there's an episode where the entire crux of the episode is that around Christmas time, Ted called Lily a Grinch. But that's not the word he used.
No, there's a lot of good bits from that
show. And like,
show.
yeah, there's a lot of ways the show plays with its convention of being a story that's told, like with blah blah.
Blah blah.
Or like later on it's like, oh yeah.
My favorite.
Or like a character will be like, oh yeah, we have to go to the really important thing, and then there'll be a pause and Ted will be like, kids, for the life of me, I can't remember what that thing was.
But it was important. Yeah, no, they do a really good job with that show.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and you've never seen How I Met Your Mother, and we just spoiled it for you, go watch it.
We did also warn you, though.
And, you won't remember what we said.
Yeah, it's a long show.
It's a long show, and you'll be surprised at every twist and turn. But now, for the last little bit, we're going to pull up a BuzzFeed quiz. Edward, please pull up the BuzzFeed quiz.
I'm going for it.
It was just the first one I found when I looked up How I Met Your Mother. Which character are you? Yep.
Okay, sick. Are we gonna talk
through
it?
We're gonna read out the questions and then answer them. So, do you ever want to get married? This is obviously pointing at the whole.
I'm gonna go with when I find the right person.
Well, obviously, because after exploring passions, blah blah, eventually, I know the right person is out there. Of course, I've already met the love of my life. Not right now. Maybe later. We'll see though. I feel like. Yeah, when I find the right... Yeah, duh. That just feels
How do you dress in public? I'm repping my favorite sports team. I'll dress nice, if I'm going to work. But I like to be comfy. I wouldn't be caught dead out of a suit.
Barney.
I like to dress in bright colors. I'm really into the jeans with a suit jacket look.
Ted.
I don't know, but I'm probably carrying a yellow umbrella.
Oh, I wonder who that's pointing to.
Tracy McConnell's one of the answers for this quiz.
Apparently.
Anyway,
I'm gonna say bright colors, because I like bright colors.
I'm gonna go with, I'll dress nice if I'm going to work, but I like to be comfy. Which quote sounds the most like you?
Whenever I'm sad, I stop being sad and be awesome instead.
That's actually something you would say.
That is something I would say.
Because sometimes, even if you know how something's gonna end, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the ride.
The future is scary, but you can't just run back to the past because it's familiar. Yes, it's tempting, but it's a mistake.
You can't just skip ahead to where you think your life should be.
That's life, We never end up where you thought you wanted to be.
When you kiss me, heaven sighs, and though I close my eyes, I see la vie en rose.
That's just
a song lyric.
Okay, I'm gonna say whenever I'm sad, I stop being sad and be awesome instead. I live by that, actually.
I'm gonna say because sometimes even if you know how something's gonna end, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the ride, because that is something I would say.
Loser. Imagine being deep and philosophical.
But that is the type of thing I would say.
Which bad habit sounds most like you?
Chewing loudly.
Correcting people. Why'd you point at me?
I was
to say
giving
it?
you the signal for the next thing.
Correcting people.
Literally overusing the word literally all the time.
Spacing out when people talk.
Losing stuff everywhere.
Singing about what you're doing. I'm gonna say spacing out when people talk. I don't listen. Actually, on the last couple podcasts, when like Gianluca and Clara were talking, I just kind of sat there for a little
Dude,
bit.
I noticed. I thought you were miserable.
I was very happy, and I realized halfway through, I was like, oh, I'm not actually listening to what's going on.
I'm gonna go with correcting people.
Good.
Choose your favorite dinner. Hamburger, pizza, sushi, tacos, nachos, or pasta. I'm gonna go pizza.
I'm gonna go...
Actually, hamburger.
I'm gonna go, like, sushi. Because I like sushi.
Finally, what do you want for dessert?
Mousse cake, eclairs, pie, fruit tart, cookies.
Oh, that depends on what pie it is.
It's this pie that's in the picture, which looks like...
like a generic pie. Pumpkin, I think.
No, it's too light to be pumpkin.
Chocolate?
Yep. You got it.
Very light chocolate
I'm gonna
pie?
go fruit tart. I'm kind of a fruit tart kind of guy.
I feel like you can't go wrong with most pies. Alright. What do you think?
Ted.
Where do I click to get my answer?
Did you not click everything?
There we go. I got Ted.
Oh, I think it's rigged to everyone getting
Is everyone Ted?
Everyone is
Alright,
Ted.
Ted, you're a hopeless romantic and at times insufferable and pretentious. But at the end of the day, you'd do anything for your loved ones. Okay, maybe that is a good description of me.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about being Ted.
I don't know how I got Ted. Like, what
I did call that I would be Ted, though.
What answer did I choose that was the same as you?
None of them.
Like, the first one. No, the first one. But that can't be it.
That's also not the Ted answer.
It's not the Ted answer.
Do we want to try and redo this quiz just to see if we can get not Ted?
Yes.
I'm gonna try and get Marshall.
I'm gonna try and get Barney. Ooh, what would be the Barney answer? Here, I'm gonna just skip to when we get to the...
Yeah, okay.
This is
we gotta code this one out. Okay, I got Marshall.
What would Barney be?
For dessert?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with eclairs.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I got Barney.
Okay, I got Marshall. Okay, so it's not rigged. We're both just actually Ted.
That's...
heartbreaking.
One night stands. Need I say more? Yes, because you're what? Legend? Wait for it. Dairy.
You're a tall, cuddly bear that has an enormous heart. You are incredibly sweet and would bend over backwards for the ones you love most. We all need a Marshy in our lives.
A Marshy?
I feel like that's the same description as Ted minus tall, but like it adds tall and gets rid of pretentious.
Yep.
Anyway, kids, that's how I met your mother.